This is Pamela Aaralyn. Namaste. So, this is the time of the month when I do what I call a raw, uncut video for you, and you get a chance to really see more of the fully authentic me where I can just kind of be myself fully and not have to edit anything and just answer all your questions from all of you in my beloved spiritual family, which I would like to take a moment to express gratitude for. So thank you for all of your support. You give me the complete space to follow my path and help humanity in every way possible, and I'm so immensely grateful. Thank you for giving me the space to follow my purpose. Namaste. With that being said, we have a theme in our spiritual family, which you can join, by the way, at facebook.com, facebook.com/groups/aura reader, facebook.com/groups/aura reader. So we have a theme monthly wherein we, as a collective, like to teach and learn and grow, and we kind of tend to follow those themes. And for October, the specific theme that we all voted upon and chose is origins, not just our human origins, but all of our origins, particularly our galactic origins. So galactic origins meaning the fractals of extraterrestrial presences that are within us and amongst us, because as many of you know, we're not just human. These are human bodies, but they aren't exactly just human. There's so many fractals, and the way that Source projects involves, if this is a human body, Source projects as fractals of extraterrestrial beings into us, breaks with the human soul, and becomes one, and that's what helps us complete our purpose. That's all these things that people call spirit guides and things that we believe are extraneous from ourselves. They're really not. That's normally just a perception. Although we do have extraneous subdominant spirit guides, that's a different story, which you can learn about in one of my videos called Spirit Guides, by the way. I discuss the differences between the dominant guides that are fractals of us and the subdominant guides that are not, you know. So there are many different levels of our being that are more than just humans. So we're going to be discussing that today. You have compiled a list of questions for this Raw Uncut video series. And I don't even try to edit it. I just let you load them up, and once a month we go through and answer all of them as possible. So I'm going to read them from the screen right now and answer as many of them as I can before I run out of oxygen. And then we're going to, I'm going to ask them and answer them like right away. I haven't even looked at them yet. So here we go. Let me see. Okay, the first question is, do twin flames always have the same ET origin? No, they absolutely do not always have the same extraterrestrial origin. They do share experiences and lifetimes together, however, within their Akashic records. So it's quite normal. But it's about 50-50, and it depends upon the lessons that they are here to learn, both together and individually. So sometimes they do, sometimes they do not. My particular twin flame does not have my origin at all, you know. So, but we've shared many other experiences together, both as humans and beyond. Let's see, next question. Did different extraterrestrial races make different human races? And yes, and if so, which ones made which? Yes, there are a few different types of humans. The first type of humans that were made by various types of extraterrestrial races that were originally on Earth, particularly Lemurians and Hyadians. Hyadians, that is otherwise known as the Lyran feline race. So Lemurians and Hyadians and Pleiadians came together to make a couple different types of human races. And they were very connected to Source and aware, fully awakened and aware of their divinity, without so many blocks to their DNA, versus Anunnaki. and Anakim and Anra, and many other races that were kind of representing more of the Atlantean side of things when it came to the whole Atlantis versus Lemuria and all of that happened in the beginning stages of different extraterrestrial races when they were all on Earth during those times. Um, yeah, the Anunnaki created a type of race that were limited in their access to their DNA. You know, so what the allopathic community and the spiritual communities are calling your junk DNA or your hidden DNA or all of that. That is the reason why we don't have but a certain small amount of connection to our brain power. That's because the Anunnaki, before they became enlightened, which they eventually did, they're not all bad, and you clear that up right away. But prior to that, some of them, about 50% of them, kind of split off in a direction that was very unenlightened and developed sort of what humans are calling what we now know as an unevolved kind of disconnected race of humans that were meant to be building pyramids and building things and being sort of like the worker bees for the Anunnaki. So unfortunately, that did happen. And that explains why we kind of started this whole thing where we had these unaware humans and these very aware humans and many different types of humans, and that's where it all began. So let's see the next question here. Which extraterrestrial races are involved in Earth's perspective, and what is their agenda for being involved? I understand some are benevolent and some aren't. To say that it's just like that, where the extraterrestrial races involved in Earth's perspective are benevolent or not, would be a duality-based perspective that kind of limits everything to an Earth-based perspective, because that's what Earth is about, is duality. So Pleiadians are involved. They are incredibly benevolent. Like, I've never met a non-benevolent Pleiadian. So they are definitely involved, and they've been here since the beginning of Earth's time. You know, if there even was a particular reference point of the beginning, Pleiadians were there. And yes, they are benevolent, and their agenda is, or purpose. I don't like the word agenda because it has kind of a negative connotation, but their purpose is healing and illumination and awareness and awakenings, unconditional love, agape love, stuff like that. Procyon are a race of Pleiadians. They are involved in the Earth's perspective. Um, they tend to really want to study humans, but Procyon are involved in purposes of vision and helping humans open their eyes up a little bit more, helping them understand ethical dilemmas and moral dilemmas, helping them kind of get into ethics and humanity without necessarily making it a black or white formulation. Procyonians are responsible for humans' love for art and music, culture and beauty, good food, good sex, good art, good exercise, like everything involving anything that feels good. That's a Procyonian purpose, you know, insofar as how they help Earth's perspective. Um, let's see. I am assuming you're asking, you know, which races are involved currently versus which races were originally involved. Anunnaki were originally involved, and most of them have withdrawn their involvement. Some of the Anunnaki that went on to become more evolved Anra races and Solarian races and Anakim races and Elohim beings. They are still involved in Earth, but mainly from a spirit guide perspective, or involved in um, ascended beings, ascended masters that are projecting into human races at this time. There's a being that's well known in ancient Egyptology by Horus. He's very involved in Earth's perspective right now, just for a sense of and a purpose of awakening and empowerment and liberation of humans. So there are many different types of races involved. Lemurians are still quite involved, both on Earth and from their particular planet called Mu, which is an enlightened version of what used to be Lemuria. So some of Lemuria is still on Earth, but then some aren't. Some are on Mu. So they are involved, and their purposes are healing, normally, and compassionate listening. Healing in all endeavors. So let me see. Arcturians are involved, but in a small way. There are a few of them here. About started out about 100, about 111 from what my guides told me that used to be involved about 20 years ago. That number has increased up to 1,111 the last time I looked. There's something with the 11s that's big in the Arcturian numbers that they're projecting into sort of a council of sorts. So they are projecting as fractals of Arcturians into about a little over 1,000 um, humans on Earth who are meeting each other and coming together for purposes of awakenings and purposes of transformation, um, purposes of reclamation, so many different purposes involving taking one's power back. So like many purposes that fall under the deeper purpose of empowerment. Yes, most of them are incredibly benevolent. I don't know any non-benevolent Arcturians. However, they're incredibly misunderstood because they are so vastly intelligent that if they're not throwing their emotion out there at you, most humans will not trust, those that don't toss their positive emotions all around. Humans are very empathic, connecting beings who expect to feel loved, and if they don't feel that loving emotion coming all the time, then they start to not trust. Arcturians don't help humans in that way normally, where they are throwing that out like from a Pleiadian perspective, where Pleiadians come to help humans and they're like, hug me, let me love you, let me heal you, let me touch you, all that kind of stuff. Arcturians are here to share with you their wisdom and to wake you up and to help you reclaim your power. So they are intellectual beings, so please don't misunderstand them. They definitely are benevolent. Syrian beings are definitely involved in Earth's perspective. They are in our oceans and waters. Um, they are spirit guide beings, and they are also projecting into fractals of humans at this point in time. So they're definitely here, and they are the indigos. Generally speaking, Arcturians and Syrians both actually are the indigos that are projecting into humans at this point in time to help people with reclamation, empowerment, flow, anything that involves awakening humanity. So this indigos, as you know from my blog, which is, by the way, over at aurareader.com if you want to read about more stuff of this nature, particularly purposes and things of that nature, you can find that there at aurareader.com. But I do have a huge blog about indigos over in the aura color meaning section on the blog. But indigos are kind of like the bull in the china shop of spirituality. They come in and they're like, let me wake you up. So they are here for awakening humanity, and it's some very truthful ways. And Syrians are definitely incredibly benevolent. So who else? I don't want to leave it. Like I said, Lemurians are involved. Hyadians are involved. That is my particular origin, by the way. We are the Lyran feline beings. That's the particular type of star system we are. We're from the constellation called Hyades, which is in, that's a star cluster in the Taurus constellation. However, Hyadians, generally speaking, if they hold a spiritual purpose, they will throw their all into it. Hyadians are incredibly um, either dormant and behind the scenes or completely in the public eye. Like there's no middle ground with that. But Hyadians have purposes of awareness, transmutation, reclamation, kind of some similar Arcturian purposes, healing. They are frequency-based beings. So most Hyadians will be doing some form of alchemy. They are, much like the Lemurians, they are the original alchemists of the galaxy. So they're coming down to help you combine all the facets of you so that you can reach your best potential, so to speak. So Hyadians are there for transformation, transmutation, awareness, and normally you're some sort of alchemist. So let's see, next question, because I can't go into all the different races that are in Earth's perspective. There's just too many. What I suggest is to go on over to my Spreecast channel, which is spreecast.com. Look up Pamela Aaralyn, Aaralyn is how you spell my last name. If you look that up and go to the video called Origins Part 2, that describes the majority of these extraterrestrial races I just listed, and it tells you all of their descriptions, basically all of their stats, like their height and their normal weight, what they look like, what their appearance is, how long they live, what they're good at, what their gifts are, if they're benevolent or not, and their intellectual capacity, and so many different things, how they began and what their purpose is with us. So all that's listed there. Origins Part 2 on my Spreecast channel, spreecast.com. Let's see. Next question. Why are the hologram spiders and insects here? What is their purpose in being here? They are holograms of specific types of non-sentient beings, and they are here to help us get over a human conscious collective fear that we've been carrying regarding our Akashic record experience in intergalactic wars with these specific types of non-sentient beings. We're terrified of them because we were absolutely destroyed by them at one point in time in Earth's history. And we were, humans are not just human. Like I said, before we projected into humans, we were other types of extraterrestrials and other existences where these beings would swoop in, kill everyone, and leave. So, of course, we have giant fears of these non-sentient beings. So they're here as a way to kind of balance out what happened. I don't believe in karma as a punishing sense, but more of in a balancing sense where they said, okay, we did that to you, but now we would like another perspective where we teach you not to be afraid of that anymore because that's over. So that's their purpose, to sort of help you understand non-sentient beings. The few times that I've had telepathic communications and dream time connections and astral travel with spiders that are actually galactic beings on different planetary existences and dimensions, they didn't try to eat me or anything like that. It wasn't like that old movie from the 80s. What is it, with all those spiders everywhere? It wasn't like that. It was more like, okay, I realize that you're afraid, and I would like to talk you out of your fear, and here's my wisdom, and here's how I operate, and here's how I live, and here's what happened, and I'm sorry that you are afraid. And but they don't really come necessarily with emotions. And because, as I was stating earlier, when humans don't particularly perceive that they can formulate an empathic connection with another being, then they become really acutely aware that they could possibly not trust that being. So that's kind of a defense mechanism that happens from the hypothalamus glands and other glands in our adrenal system as well that kind of produce the fight or flight response that make us afraid, that cause fear. It's a very primal fear that our brains have carried over in the cellular DNA memory that's just hard to get rid of. So that's why we're afraid of them. Okay, and they're here to help us with that purpose so that we are no longer afraid. Someone else said, I've heard something about these hologram spiders and insects being artificial intelligence and causing lots of problems. I don't really like to get into that fear-based thing, because the thing about living in a third dimensional existence such as Earth, where there is sun and moon and night and day and war and peace and feast and famine, when you have this good or bad or black and white type of situations, you align yourself towards um, situations where you can become disempowered, and then you create a manifestation and an alignment with a reality where that actually is true, where spiders are artificial intelligence and causing problems for humanity, where that would be true. Because that's the fun thing about being human, is that you get to create what reality you align with, and there are some of those beings that are causing problems, and the humans that are aligning with that specific fear are the ones that they are going for. So watch your alignment. That's not fear-based. That's just how Earth works. Just letting you know. So the whole prison planet thing that people keep talking about, it is true for those people who are aligned with it. Okay, and the more you change your alignment, the more you are not a victim to that. Okay. Someone else asked, are we meant to integrate all of our extraterrestrial aspects in this lifetime? There's no such thing as meant to. I'm just speaking loudly because there's a train going by. I forgot to shut the door. I'm just going to let it go by. Hang on. Fun thing about raw uncut videos, you get to hear all these little fun things about my day-to-day life. Yeah, we are. It's helpful to try, but there's no meant to. There's no should. You can if you want. Every time you integrate one of these aspects of you, you formulate what is called a soul braid. So when you do that, this is what happens. This is the human you. This is the extraterrestrial fractal that is projecting into you. Say this is a human and this is a Syrian. This Syrian projects in as source. as a fractal of source. So this fractal of source, which is the Sirian, comes in, and as you get rid of your human traumas and core beliefs that have caused fear and trauma and suppression and pain and suffering, when you heal, you integrate that fractal. And then the human you and the extraterrestrial you become one, and that is called a soul braid. Okay, so there can be many. Here's the Syrian. Maybe this is a Pleiadian. Maybe this is a Hyadian. Maybe this is, a reptilian being. When all of these components, which represent different core beliefs, come into you, they braid, 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 and then you become one. And that's what unity and integration is all about. But do you have to? Are you meant to? I mean, it's a goal, but you don't have to. Absolutely not. You get to choose. There you have it, right? Let's see. Next question. What kind of galactic disagreements occur? And what are the effects on Earth? Are there any ETs, any extraterrestrials who attempt to harvest soul energy as a means of survival? Yes. How deeply do you want to go into that? Because that is an alignment that creates fear. And those who believe in that particular alignment will indeed become those sorts of experimental based, situations where, say, grays in particular, they don't harvest soul energy, but they have no other way they don't have a way to reproduce. A lot of Zeta Reticulan beings, which is a particular race of gray, um, they have evolved to the extent that they don't have reproductive organs. So with that being said, um, yeah, they don't have a way to reproduce, so they come in and extract human DNA in order to do so. And if you're aligned in a fear-based way, this is why so many humans are saying, oh, I was abducted and it was horrible and terrifying, and there was all this stuff that happened to me and it was painful, and it was a terrible negative energy type of abduction. Um, that kind of situation is when you're aligned to the fear, and then that's how you perceive it. But harvesting soul energy, no. Soul energy, no. No one has any access to your soul energy, fear-based or not. That is yours. That is strictly yours. That does not happen. Okay, I haven't seen that in my 40 years of existence here on Earth. So there you have it. So I love you guys. Got to go. Phone's ringing. Have a great day. Bye.